A bystander is dead. 3 suspects are in custody. An officer is in the hospital. The main part of the work is happening right behind me. The power to all the buildings nearby went out, and police cars started arriving. You can see right here, fire crews just got to the scene. They've got the whole street taped off. Now, Memphis police tell us that this was an argument that happened just before 4 p.m. That's the fire right there behind me. You can see across Pendleton from where we are. We're at Pendleton and Fillmore. Investigators would not say when that car was stolen or what robbery it's believed to have been used in.
We're going to see exactly how strong that bite is.
Right there.
Tonight, that mother is wondering how she can explain this to her youngest child, who's just 6 years old, and how her and her family can ever feel safe in their home again. Power drills might fix doors that were broken open. Security cameras might keep criminals from coming back in the future. But what does it take to repair shattered peace of mind?
I'm just still scared. I'm scared for me and my kids' safety.
Out of that fear for safety, the victim asked not to be identified. MPD says a group of 3 men robbed 2 apartments at Stonebrook. First, they kicked in the door to an apartment whose owner wasn't home. Police say they stole a rifle, $2,400 in cash, and more than $2,000 worth of jewelry. Then, each carrying a gun, they knocked on the next door over, where 3 children were in bed, and their mother was just getting out of the shower.
They asked about, do somebody get some gas or something like that? And I was like, no. And they just proceeded to push me in, back into the house.
The victim says they held her at gunpoint and made her lay on the ground in her living room. Then she says they rounded up her children, ages 6, 9, and 16, took their phones and made them lay on the floor next to her. She says they started tossing the apartment and asking where any drugs or money were. One even busted a hole through her ceiling with the end of a rifle. I mean, you're a mother who lives here with her children, and they come in here looking for drugs?
This is what I said.
After going through every room in the apartment, the thieves headed to the door, but the worst was yet to come.
We just trying to do what they say. We still on the ground at this point. And they came back to the front and they started leaving. And then I heard one of them, they was like, they ain't got none in here. We ought to just go and kill that.
But they left, and the family got back on their feet and locked the door. The only thing they'd gotten from the apartment was a laptop. Investigators say they weren't able to get any fingerprints, but a neighbor's doorbell camera captured these grainy images of the thieves. The victim says all she can do is hope and pray those are enough to bring the men to justice.
I have to move away from her and just still hope that it don't happen again, but I'm going to have to move away from her. I'm scared for me and my kids.
Well, if you know anything about this case, you can call Crime Stoppers. That number is 901-528-CASH. Your anonymous tip could earn you $2,000 and help bring that family some peace. Good evening, Daniel. I caught up with 3 families who are involved in this. All of them basically told me the same thing, that an SRO deputy used pepper gel to break up a fight between students, and in doing that, a bunch of other students who weren't involved in that fight were exposed tonight. Those parents say they want accountability.
She was coughing, she was throwing up.
Them are kids, 6, 7, and 8 graders, and it was just too much to be pepper spraying children.
I was very frustrated, angry as well.
Furious, confused parents of hurt children.
I just couldn't breathe. It was just hurting. It was burning. I just couldn't think. I was losing my mom.
And I started rolling on the ground to make it better, but it didn't work.
Those families told Fox 13 their children called them just after the pepper gel incident. One mother shared this video she took as she arrived at the school and found it surrounded by squad cars and fire trucks.
He was just terrified, crying like, I just got pepper sprayed. I can't see. I can't breathe.
Some opted to bring their children straight home. Others took them to the hospital.
My daughter has heart disease and she deals with asthma. Now she's at Labona trying to make sure she's okay.
They got word from the district about what happened hours later. They were told via robocall that students got in an altercation, and a deputy assigned to the school used pepper gel to defuse it. They don't understand why they weren't told earlier, and they don't know how they're supposed to feel safe sending their kids back.
My daughter will not be attending 7th grade at Lorenz Middle School.
We reached out to the Shelby County Sheriff's Office about this incident. We were told that while that deputy was breaking up the fight, another student hit that deputy. The deputy was not injured, but a spokesperson says that's when they used the pepper gel to get a crowd of students that had gathered around under control. We also reached out to MSCS. We did not hear back. Daryl and Darcy, the evidence is all right here in front of me. That driver was headed up Greer towards Southern, but instead of turning onto the road, he plowed straight through the intersection. You can see those tire tracks on this berm leading up to the railroad tracks. When he hit the top here, he launched off and went airborne. This video might look like something out of the latest Fast and Furious movie, but it happened right here in East Memphis. Instead of a Vin Diesel-style muscle car, though, this driver was behind the wheel of a Mazda.
They Dukes of Hazzard jumped over that track, nosedive, and then did another flip. I was like, what's going on?
The police report shows this diagram of the crash. The car landed just a few feet from a house. It left a huge bumper-shaped crater in the yard and brought the people who live there to the windows to look. They say they immediately called 911 and watched as the driver climbed out of the car. Video shows him running away from the scene.
If you need a safe car, I guess a Mazda's pretty good, because he walked away just fine.
Witnesses say he came back a few minutes later and brought his girlfriend, the car's owner, with him. Officers say they found him walking up Southern, and he was cited for driving without a license, failure to maintain safe lookout, and failure to maintain proper control. That driver blamed the crash on fog and was not charged with driving under the influence.
That's kind of comforting to know he wasn't at least driving drunk.
Yeah, he definitely failed to maintain control.
Witnesses say his girlfriend was inconsolable when she got to the scene and saw her car. They had this message for her.
Dump him.
Yeah.
Next to the crater the car left, you can still find a roll of toilet paper they gave the girlfriend to dry her tears and pieces of the car.
We've got like a hubcap, we've got a headlight, so if you need some parts, hit us up.
The people who live there say they're glad the car didn't hit their house, and every time they look at that crater, it'll serve as a reminder of just how dangerous Memphis roads can be.
If anybody wants to talk about Memphis drivers, I got the footage for them to show them what it's like out here. It's rough in these streets.
Officers say that driver went to St. Francis with a head injury, but that injury was not life-threatening. That driver pled guilty to a lesser charge. He was sentenced to 1 year, but all but 1 day of that sentence was suspended. Tonight, his victim is asking why he's out of jail.
At one point, I look at the speedometer, and we're doing 120, and he's running red lights. We almost got T-boned multiple times. The whole time, I'm screaming at this man, saying, "Let me out of the car."
A terrifying ordeal for Matthew McAllister. Investigators say his Uber driver was pulled over for running a red light, then drove away from that traffic stop and led officers on a chase before losing them in Midtown, with McAllister stuck in the back seat the whole time.
Do I jump? Do I hit him? Do I try and grab the wheel? What do I do? But that's when I noticed the speed at some points, was because I'm like, if I grab the wheel, how fast are we going? What are my odds,
Eventually, McAllister says the driver slowed down when making a turn, and that's when he opened the door and jumped out. That was on February 28th. His driver, Cordarius Johnson, was pulled over for speeding last Tuesday and arrested for the incident. He was charged with running a red light, felony and misdemeanor counts of evading arrest, and felony aggravated kidnapping. But according to court records, he pled guilty only to misdemeanor evading arrest, and the DA's office declined to prosecute the remaining charges.
It was upsetting to find out that somebody could put me through a situation like that and only get charged with the the lowest one, a freaking misdemeanor.
Court records show the majority of Johnson's sentence was suspended, and he'll serve a year on probation. Uber says his access to the app was removed, but for McAllister, that's not enough.
It's bullcrap. It ain't right, because it's other people. It's like doing anything with the justice system is like just as sketchy as taking an Uber ride. You never know what they're going to do.
Well, it's not clear why Johnson drove away from that traffic stop. We took a look at his court records and found dismissed charges of domestic violence and car burglary, but no active warrants at that time. Now, I also reached out to the DA's office to find out why they declined to prosecute that aggravated kidnapping charge. I did not hear back. Darcy. Good evening, Daniel. He says he was inside the store when this all happened, waiting in line for the register when those shots started firing. He says he was hit in the leg. Now, if you take a look, you can see that investigation still happening here. We've got the whole parking lot taped off for the Parkway Food Market. You can see some officers gathered there in the parking lot, and there's the front door there. We've been seeing investigators go in and out of that front door because inside is where this all actually went down. Now, that adult victim spoke to me over the phone while he was getting treatment for his gunshot wound at Regional 1. He says he and a friend were waiting in line for the register, and the teenage victim was standing in line behind him. He says another man barged into the store and opened fire, and that teenager shot back. He says he saw that teen take a bullet to the chest.
Tall, black, slim guy walked in and just started shooting. And I turned around, the guy behind me is the guy that he was shooting at. And he started shooting back, and I just hit the floor and started crawling on my belly like a snake. I got hit in the leg as I was turning the corner running to the back of the store.
As we bring you back out here live to the scene, you can see, as I said, officers going in and out of that store. Now, that adult victim did not have life-threatening injuries, but investigators tell us the teenager died from his injuries at Regional 1. Tonight, MPD's asking anyone with information on that suspect to call Crime Stoppers at 901-528-CASH.